random chunk from the archives.
So, Richard, that's for the stage show,
Yeah.
which is going to be touring now, and I'm assuming...
That's not this show that's going up there. That's
a previous production,
think
but
so,
I'm
yes.
assuming that the young people who are in the show now, I mean, 40 years, they wouldn't have been born, most
No,
of them.
this is true. Yes, well, we can't keep the people that were in it originally, can we? They'll be going around with Zimmer frames. That wouldn't work. But yeah, I saw it the other night in Brighton, and one of the nicest things to do when they send you around, you know, the producers send you around to like sell the idea, the virtue of the show, which is a job to do, we all know. And people say, well, he would say that, you know, say it's a great show, but it's so good. The band is so strong, the cast is so fantastic, the set is delightful. And I sit there, you know, because it's very difficult. Because sometimes I've sat there, and some productions I go, But yeah, I sit in there, and I sit in with Richard Hartley, my writing partner, musical writing partner of over 40 years, and we're both of us with grins on our faces. It was lovely.
There's something. I mean, there's so many things that are special about it, but it's kind of effervescent. It's so catchy. It's so energetic, and it's still got that after all these years.
Yes, and it is kind of rude in a kind of childish manner. And it's got that English kind of seaside kind of rudeness to it, you know, cheeky, naughty. And that's always, always lovely, good news.
You must have been through this business a million times of just the note. Where did it come from? Because it's still, even now, you look at it, and it's really quite out there.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Where did the notion come from?
I think being transgendered myself must have had something to do with it. The love of rock and roll of the 50s. And Arrested Development. I mean, I could fire many answers off to you, and I'm not quite sure which of them's true. It's a fairy tale that goes on forever. It doesn't ask much of its audience, and yet it's not just a piece of nonsense and froth, because if it was, it wouldn't have lasted 40 years. There's something about it that works on a subliminal level with the audience. So we get all the surface stuff, the campness and the silly nonsense and the running around and rock and roll, but you don't go home and think, well, it was all right, but it wasn't very satisfying. It satisfies on a deeper level somehow or other.
And I remember when it used to be on London, didn't it, near Leicester Square,
Yes.
and the queues of people all dressed up, and they still dress up to go and see it.
Yeah, they do. Try and stop them.
Which you plainly won't.
Have you got? Because from the film version, of course, there were a lot of very famous people in the film,
Yes.
weren't they? Including Meatloaf.
Meatloaf, Tim Curry, Susan Sarandon. Yeah, it was good. It was a good cast.
And you must have had a romp making that.
Well, no, you don't. You think later on, you look back and think that was lovely, but you're too busy going on a at 4 o'clock in the morning on a wet morning, and you know what it's like, and getting there and it's dismal, and you're doing your job. And of course, you do it. You do it as well as you can, and you try to bring the fun out. But it is hard work and tiring and long days. But it was nice to look back on it, and the further you are away from it, the warmer your kind of feelings are towards those days. And Susan Sarandon was almost dying of a cold while we were doing that. She came down with a filthy cold, and yet we expected her to jump into a swimming pool and dance in underwear in front of
Well, that wouldn't help.
It was yes. It added a certain vitality to her performance.
Yeah, but she looked
Oh,
good.
listen, I want to say something. Somebody's been twittering saying it's me, and some people have been on Facebook saying it's me. I don't
It's not
Twitter.
you.
I don't Facebook. All right?
Okay.
If anybody comes across that, it's not me.
So you're not a social media type person.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's annoying when
But
that happens,
I just want to say that because somebody's impersonating me. They've got my picture and they're saying that these words are supposed to be coming from my mouth, and it's nonsense.
Well, and I did ask you this off air a moment ago, but I mean it's the 40th anniversary of the show.
Yep.
You yourself have just passed a rather significant birthday, haven't you?
I have.
Do you mind me asking?
I'm 70 years of age, and I've just become engaged to a young lady, a young German girlfriend of mine, my fiancée. And we're going to get married in April, on April the 6th in New Zealand.
So quite a year.
lovely.
So yeah, it's cool.
Oh, how fantastic. And New Zealand is a lovely place to live,
I
presumably.
love New Zealand. Yes, I adore New Zealand. In fact, you were talking about dressing up, and Charlie dressing up to go and see the show. Our Prime Minister, John Key, was on television talking about my citizenship and all the rest of it. To somebody, and on breakfast television, and they said, of course, you have Richard O'Brien's citizenship Prime Minister. He said, oh yes. He said, we all remember, going to the the late night show and dressing up. And I went, hello. You go, ta-ta-ta.
You see, you've
Our
still
Prime
got,
Minister.
you've still got the moves, haven't you? Do you miss all of that jumping about?
I kind of do, yeah.
Oh,
It's lovely to
it's
see
really
you
lovely to
today.
meet you.
It's
Have a
my great pleasure.
have a
He's
great
not on
year.
Twitter.
Thank you,
You've heard
darling.
it from the man himself.